Today, in the first lecture to the course Sociology of Religion, we are going to look at the relationship between sociology and religion. The moment you hear sociology of religion, you immediately understand we are going to make a scientific analysis of religion. So the question that inevitably comes to our mind is, can there be a valid scientific analysis of religion? This has been a heated debate, oftentimes, even in contemporary times. And the article I have given is precisely based on this question. Is it possible that we can study religion by using a scientific method? Now, what is a scientific method? A scientific method goes by certain data. Now, when we speak about science, it is not only the physical sciences or the natural sciences, which we are familiar with, but also the social sciences. Whether it is physical science or social science, all of them adopt what is known as a certain empirical method. Empirical method, in simple terms, is a method by which you verify the claims that you make. There are different kinds of claims that we make. Like, for example, when I say this morning I had for breakfast puttu, that's steamed rice cake. Now, steamed rice cake goes well with banana. When I make a claim, now it is possible that somebody tastes the steamed rice cake with banana and then able to say, my claim is right or my claim is not wrong. Somebody else can verify the claim that I make. There are different kinds of claims that we make in everyday life about every aspects of our life. We keep saying that this is interesting, that is boring. Now, these things can be verified. Somebody else must do exactly what you do and then come to the conclusion, yes, it is interesting or it is boring. Now, for example, if you say my lectures are boring, that's a claim that you make. Now, how do we verify it's true or not? You ask all the students, fill up a questionnaire and ask series of questions about my lectures, the content, the method, the style, and then you come to conclude based on the data that is available to you, the claim that you make that my lectures are boring is right or not right. It is verifiable. So, empirical means a method by which you can verify. So, something that is tangible. So, it's not merely a claim that you can just make without having to justify it by giving some evidence. So, empirical method looks for empirical evidence. Evidence that can be available to us, that we can see, we can touch, all that through external senses, what we can access. So that is what we mean by scientific method. Can we study religion by using the scientific method? Now, religion has a different content anyways. The content of religion often is theology. So, you are all students of theology. Theological claims generally do not lend themselves to empirical verification. For example, you say God is one, but in three persons. It's a claim that you make. Can you verify that empirically? You may be able to give some arguments based on, again, your scripture, which is something that you have accepted as revelation. But that doesn't make it scientific, because there may be others who may not consider our scripture to be a revealed work. So a scientific method would imply that it is accessible to everyone, and everyone must be able to be persuaded by that method. So in sociology of religion, the content that we are looking at is the same. For example, in theology, you look at religion, so also sociology looks at religion. So the viewed point is the same, but the point of view is different. Theology, you approach a religion as a believer. When you do sociology of religion, you approach it not as a believer, but as someone who is interested in the scientific method. That doesn't mean you cannot be a believer if you are doing a sociological approach, if you are adopting a sociological approach to religion. It doesn't mean that. All that it means is that just being a believer is not enough to do sociology of religion. For theology, that is the only criterion. You need to be a believer. Well, today in modern times in Europe, I am told there are many theologians who may not be believers, but they just do theology because they think theology can be also something of a scientific approach, which is not true. But normally, theology presupposes that we are believers. Only then the claims of theology that we make would be meaningful, because it has a particular worldview. As long as we don't subscribe to that worldview, we may not find meaning in that. So now we'll come back to this question. Can there be a valid scientific study of religion? There are two approaches. For many years in the past, the approach was negative. We cannot have a valid scientific study of religion. This perspective is called the perspective of contrast between believers and sociologists, because their perspectives are different, and therefore a sociologist cannot study religion. So that is a negative answer. In other words, we cannot study religion scientifically. This implies that the relationship between sociology and religion for many years was one of mutual distrust. Those who are believers, they distrusted, or they didn't place trust in sociology. Those who are sociologists did not place trust in religion. Not only it was one of distrust, but also one of rivalry and hostility and a mutual rejection between the two. So sociologists would simply dismiss religion, whereas believers would dismiss sociology. There are two reasons that are given by sociologists in the early days why religion cannot be studied scientifically. Two reasons are given by early sociologists. The first reason, sociologists adopted a method called epiphenomenalist. Epiphenomenalist means basically what we can study is the reality, not the shadow of reality. Sociologists thought religious thinking, therefore theology, is nothing but a simple illusion. It is a simple illusion that is caused by the external conditions in the society. You cannot study an illusion, you can only study a reality. So this theology, according to the early sociologists, it's only a shadow of reality. Why? Because it is illusion. How is this illusion caused? By the conditions in the society. So it is a society that creates this illusion, and that is why it becomes the shadow of reality. It is not real, it's only the shadow of reality. We have one of the famous early sociologists by name Fraser. I spell his name for your understanding. F-R-A-Z-E-R. Fraser. He categorically stated, religion is a cognitive mistake of primitive man. Religion is fundamentally a mistake. What kind of mistake it is? It is a mistake in terms of your understanding. You make a mistake in your understanding. So, it is only the primitive man who made the mistake, but of course we continue with that. That's the claim that Fraser made. Now, we also know there are many other sociologists or generally social scientists, which include anthropologists and psychologists, who have also made similar claim. For example, you must have been aware of Freud, Sigmund Freud, in case if you want me to spell his second name, his surname, F-R-E-U-D, Freud. Freud said religion is nothing other than universal obsessive neurosis of humanity. Universal obsessive neurosis. In other words, religion is something sick in simple terms. It's a neurosis. Marx, Karl Marx, M-A-R-X, whom I am sure you are very familiar with, he claimed religion is an inverted consciousness of an alienated world. It is not a true consciousness, it is consciousness that is made upside down, it is inverted. That inversion happens because we are in an alienated world. So religion doesn't make you see straight, it makes you see upside down everything because it is inverted consciousness. This is the first reason given by early sociologists why sociologists don't want to do anything with religion. They just dismiss it off quite categorically. The second reason sociologists give why they cannot study religion is because religion consists of supernatural reality. The moment you speak about God, it is not something natural. Natural is something that you can know through your external senses. For example, if you walk into the forest, you see different kinds of trees and you can know what kind of trees they are. If you find flowers, you know what kind of flowers they are. You can see them, you can smell them, you can touch them, you can smell them. And suppose if you find a honeybee which is trying to take honey from a flower, you can even hear the honeybee humming there. So you have all this kind of possibility of knowing the external world. External world which is natural. But religion does not deal with natural reality. It deals with supernatural, and therefore it doesn't lie within the purview of empirical reality. It is meta-empirical. I assume that you know the meaning of the word empirical. Empirical means that which can be known through our external senses. Okay, E-M-P-I-R-I-C-A-L, empirical. We do use it in everyday language, but suppose some of you, if you are not familiar with this term, I am clarifying. That is one of the difficulties we have in online teaching. But I will spell out, and in case we have got a difficulty, if you want me to repeat that word, you come back to me. I will tell again. So religion only deals with supernatural, meta-empirical reality. Can sociologists study anything that is non-empirical, not natural? Sociology can only study what is empirical, what you can verify by your external senses. Therefore, these are the two reasons. The first one is religion is a cognitive mistake of primitive human person. Secondly, religion deals with non-empirical reality, supernatural reality, and sociology can study only what is empirical. Now, this was not only sociologists who were negative about the scientific study of religion. Theologians' response was also negative. We have this famous theologian called John Milbank, M-I-L-B-A-N-K, M-I-L-B-A-N-K, Milbank, one word. Milbank thought sociology is trying to look for absolute truth through positive approach. Now, what is positive approach? Positive approach is a claim that knowledge is valid only and if only it is known to us through empirical method. So, sociologists are adopting a positive approach. They deny the possibility of truth outside of any such empirical method. So that approach is technically known as positivism. The first sociologist who is a positive sociologist in that sense. It's not the same as the normal English word positive, which means something we affirm. So it doesn't mean that. It means basically the use of empirical method and gaining knowledge is the only truth. So it's an absolutization of a particular approach. The first sociologist who came up with this approach is known as Auguste Comte. And he was, of course, very critical of religion himself, the religion as we know it. So, the point of the matter is, theologians therefore try to, Milbank for example, he was critiquing this approach of sociologists. It is fundamentally flawed. And in fact, many theologians thought if you want to appreciate religion, you cannot appreciate it from outside. You can only appreciate it from inside. It's like the stainless glass. You know, if you have huge cathedrals, you have this stainless glass, the old cathedrals. If you want to really appreciate the stainless glass, you cannot see it from outside of the church. You will hardly see anything, and then you would really don't see the grandeur and the beauty of that glass. You have to come into the church and see that. It is from only the inside perspective you would appreciate the beauty of the stainless glass. So also, if you want to understand and appreciate religion, you must be a believer. You must be able to look it from inside. Now, sociologists don't look from the believer's point of view, and therefore a scientific study of religion is not only meaningless, but it is also not desirable. This is the traditional approach to sociology of religion. However, contemporary sociologists adopt a different approach. They no longer believe in this hostile view. They no longer subscribe to an understanding that religion and sociology have to remain hostile. Perhaps they are not even hostile. They call their approach, the contemporary sociologists, they call their approach as sympathetic detachment. Now, what is sympathetic detachment? They are detached from religion. They don't adopt a believer's point of view. They try to take a step back, stand outside and look at this phenomenon they see as religion. Religion as it is lived out by people. So religion doesn't live somewhere else. It is lived out in the lives of people, in the prayers that we say, in the celebrations that we have, in the doctrine that we hold. All these are part of this, what we call this religion. So as far as this detachment is concerned, they adopt what is known as methodological atheism. They may not be really atheists, but as a method, they try to be like somebody who is not a believer. But at the same time, it is not just a detachment, it is also sympathetic detachment. What does that mean? They are also respectful of religion. They don't consider the believers or people who subscribe to religion as people who are naive, illiterate, and so on. They do see a point that people do make a rational choice. People just don't, they are naive or illiterate, they just follow religion. People choose by using reason to follow religion. Therefore, we have to be respectful of it. I may not accept it, but I need to be respectful of it. This is the approach of the contemporary sociologists. In other words, they try to explain religion in terms of empirical reality, but without making an evaluative, judgmental statement. So their approach is non-evaluative. They are not saying this is good, this is bad. They only merely present this is how religion functions in the society. So they refrain from making any kind of judgmental statements. They don't make anything like this is good, what religion does is good, what religion does is bad. I think that is not within their perspective. What they can do is, this is how we find religion functions in a given society. Nor do they try to show that religion has no reason to exist. That is not their point at all. So they are merely explaining the role of religion in the society as a fact which they see. While theologians look at religions with faith, sociologists do not necessarily look at religion with faith. So it is a matter of perspective. That doesn't mean they lack respect for religion. Contemporary sociologists do respect religion, but they adopt a different perspective other than the faith perspective which theologians are used to. Now today we realize multiple perspectives are important so that our horizons expand. We cannot only say I would look at things from only one perspective. It's a valid perspective. Theologians' perspective is a valid perspective and we are appreciated. But that is not the only perspective. So we should also learn to look at religion from other perspectives. It's just like, a beautiful flower. If, for example, if you walk into the garden and look at the flower, most of us would say, well, with this flower can be placed under the statue of Mother Mary or before the Blessed Sacrament, where it fits well from the aesthetic point of view. You look at from one point of view. That is not how a botanist would look at a flower. He would look at which species or which family does this flower belong to. The way children look at flower would be different. They would really admire the beauty of the flower and try to spend time around that place because they feel exuberant around that beautiful garden filled with flowers and so on. Mystics, on the other hand, when they look at flower, they begin to think about the creator who made it and then start somehow getting lost into that mystical experience. Now, these are different perspectives. All these perspectives are valid. So in as much as a theological perspective or a faith perspective of religion is valid, so also a sociological perspective of religion is equally valid. This is the approach we have today, the contemporary approach, and this approach is known as emerging partnership. The first approach is an approach of hostility, a mutual distrust, which earlier sociologists had, earlier theologians had. In the contemporary times, both contemporary sociologists and contemporary theologians look at this as an emerging partnership. That explains why you had a course on social analysis when you do theology. Because you do realize the importance of having something like a social analysis, which is a typical approach to society, not about faith, not about religion, but you find that is also equally today helpful in order to deepen your theological understanding. Because thanks to this emerging partnership between sociologists and theologians. Theologians are also equally open to this emerging partnership. Now, what facilitated this emerging partnership? What made this change from a hostile approach to one of emerging partnership? We shall take a break and then I will come back to that after this. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me.